see if this actually works. All right, it says we're live. I will check, and there it is in the chats. Yeah, I see. Robert put, try and keep it semi child friendly, dude. Ah, and there's my bride. Okay, guys, we're live. We got a bunch of Deliverance entries. So for those of you who are new, let's give you kind of an idea of what happens. Is down in the description, there should be a link to where you can enter in your hotspot problems. And on that form, that'll pop up another page on the Gristle King site that all of us are able to look at. And we kind of go through and see if we can troubleshoot what's going on with your hotspots. I think one of the big kind of framework pieces is, look, we're in the middle of this insane growth of a network. There are going to be problems. This is going to happen. Just because you're having problems with your hotspot doesn't mean the entire network is broken or that it's a scam or any one of the million things that I see on Twitter from just positions of, and I don't mean this pejoratively, just positions of ignorance. Like if you don't know, this can be a really frustrating space. And so one of the things I'm super excited to do with Jamie and BFG Neil here, Jamie Dubs and BFG Neil, is to eliminate some of that ignorance. So that's kind of the framing and what we're going to do. I'd also like to just kind of put out there, Jamie and Neil and I were talking a little bit about this, but totally by surprise, I won this most valuable community member. I wish I could split, like if there was an award, I certainly would have split that with all of the guys on this show and all the guys who have helped me along the way. And I just want to make sure that the value that I was able to deliver came from people like Jamie, people like Neil, people like Germ, who's going to join us later. And everyone from the CEO of Helium, from Amir, who's Capcom on Discord, who's helped me out, in the early days when he was still kind of, well, he still responds individually, but I just felt kind of uncomfortable being like the only person recognized there when there are hundreds of people who've certainly helped me and helped contribute to the community. So yeah. All right.
No, you've earned every penny of that, man. Your guides are fantastic and they have been from the start. So no one else is producing guides like that. So it's totally. Always been like, is it if you new to hotspots, go read this, how best to optimize setups. This is what you look at. This is what the community's worked at, and this is what we found's best. You've been amazing, man. You deserve every second of that award.
Dig it. Thanks. Well, thank you guys for helping me get it and delivering it. Okay, I see a ton of stuff in the chat. My bride Lee is on there. She's the Lee Team Gristle King, so she should be moderating. I know last time I kind of missed a couple things. There's a lot going on my screen, just like everyone else's. So hopefully I don't miss you guys. But let's jump in with the first one. The first one I've got, guys, is Hassan's Feisty Orchid B. Did you guys see that? The problem? If not, I can read it out.
I would love a readout since okay. I also have too many screens.
Yeah, no, I get it. Okay, so Feisty Orchid B is the hotspot. Hotspot vital info is indoors on Ethernet. But the hotspot must be indoors. The description of setup is on the 13th floor apartment. The stock antenna Nebra. Neil, I see you wincing. Relayed issue, although ports have been open. Problem category is at relay and unusually low earnings. I think what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to start skipping the unusually low earnings just because there's so many of them. And I think we can kind of hit that once at the beginning of the show and then skip that because the answer is the same for all of them. Description of the problem: relayed issue and massive drop in earnings. The miner was doing around $600 a month in its prime. Now it's doing less than 150. And then no pictures or anything were submitted. So, Neil, let's start with you just kind of taking a look at Feisty Orchid B, and that'll give Jamie time to pull up his screen, and then we'll go through kind of what you guys are seeing. Sound good?
Yeah, sure. Perfect. So I do the basic checks just to make sure it's online, the IP address is the same, the port's open, it's not relayed, and then I'll go and have a look at Explorer as well. So Explorer is always good to just check what kind of activity it is. It looks like it's doing fairly well, to be honest with you. Okay. The one thing to always look at is the RSSI and the SNR. The SNR is not great in the area. That's one thing to say, but it's not the worst. I definitely look at antenna setup here.
Okay, so check into antenna setup. And let's just define this, at least at the start of this video, RSSI, SNR, like what does that mean? How does that work in Helium? I know that's old hat for us, but might be helpful for new people.
Sure, the closer to zero this is, the closer it is to where you've heard it from. So, like, if I'm in my room with the sensors in my hands and the antennas above me, I'll get like -20. So, the validity is 135 135 or 36, minus 136. So, you can see how well your hotspot's being heard by this RSSI versus the distance. And then the SNR's the opposite. If it's a plus number, it's good. If it's minus, it's bad. But with LoRa, it can be really low. It doesn't matter. LoRa does really well at long distance. So this kind of SNR doesn't worry me too much.
Okay. Cool. Jamie, I'm coming over to you. I'm going to drop Neil off and bring your stuff up. What do you got, dog?
Yeah, it also looks like witness activity is down over the last 2 weeks, but sometimes that's hard to say what that is. It's like maybe there was actually a nearby hotspot that's now offline, like this one is. You could kind of, but overall, I mean, it looks pretty normal. It's just earnings are down, but earnings are down kind of consistently across the board, and it's always hard to, 2 weeks is still kind of a small sample size.
Okay. Dig it. And I've tried to kind of think about this stuff a little bit, like how we manage these things instead of going through everyone every time, is paying a little bit of attention to the chat. And I'm seeing Edward's got this question: should the network be much more concerned with gamers? At the end of the day, anyone buying into the network for the IoT devices are going to be hugely turned off by this. Dude, sorry, I don't want to get super irritated here, but I get this question all the time. All these guys get this question all the time. Let's just say at very kind of high levels, and I'm just making a reasonably accurate guess here, gaming accounts for maybe 5% of the network earnings, right? I'm sure someone can research that and get a more accurate number, but it's not like 20%. It's not even 10%. It's not even 7%. And if you look at criminal activity in general in the public, that's probably the same kind of amount of the the GDP of the U.S. or of any given country. So we are never going to get rid of gamers totally. And this idea that gamers spoofing HNT is killing your earnings is generally just not true. So yeah, I don't think the network should be super concerned with gamers. What do you got, Jamie?
And then I'll plus a big plus one to all that. And then we have at the DUI, we funded several grants with people who are researching it, looking into this. And then in the data analysis channel in Discord, you can find information that gets posted basically every day about sort of outlier hotspot earnings. And I don't know what the specific percentage is that is gaming or is like otherwise spoofing the network. And there is also sort of like a gradient of that. Like, is every hotspot declared exactly where it is? Probably not. And it's like, is that a major problem? Well, it kind of depends. And so there's like several different variables. But if you look at the numbers that get posted in the Discord just recently, I've only been following it recently, is like in the hundreds generally. And I don't even know how many hotspots we're up to now. Like we're about to break 500,000. So
okay.
It's it's a small contribution. That said, it's still something we're always looking into because it will always be a problem. Well, as long as proof of coverage exists, it will be a problem. And then over time, I think, Nick, as you pointed out many times, as proof of coverage transitions to the rewards, transition to exclusively data transfer rewards, then you're being paid strictly for the work and there's no incentive to spoof it even.
Dig it. Neil, anything to add on top of that?
Not really. I mean, there's obviously 𝗵40 coming up soon that hopefully you'll be very liked. So there's also some great hips coming, 𝗵42, 𝗵44. They'll both work on this replay attack kind of that's happening. That's the worst of the hacking, but it's such a low level. People just don't realize that there's been hacks where they've taken millions in a very short time frame, and then they're moaning about the odd 0.2 when you could get more than that from deploying a hotspot legitimately. So yeah, difficult.
Is there like a common thing that people point at? Like that it sort of, is this something that people just feel very strongly about, or is there actually like a piece of evidence that everybody is circulating about what's going on, just out of curiosity?
I don't know. So let's before we kind of get deep into this, I'm seeing what is I'm just gonna go kind of caveman on this,
please.
on the YouTube, so the whole point of this channel is to troubleshoot hotspots. I kind of got us off track there with talking about gaming. If you guys want to talk only about gaming, just, I don't know, smash the like button. Like, do something to let me know that, like, hey, forget troubleshooting. We want to talk about gaming, and that's fine. We'll talk about gaming. But I want most people who came here is, you know, to get what they, basically what was advertised. So, yep, I think we'll kind of let that sit for a second because I think there's like a 30-second delay or something. But I'm seeing whatever, the thumbs up at 17. If I see that go to like 50, we'll talk about gaming. If I see that just sitting, then we'll just keep going to troubleshooting. Okay, and there's tons of other questions about kind of this gaming stuff. And I'm not seeing that the thumbs go up, so I'll leave it with this, is search for, I think it's the video on my channel. It's Who Runs the MOC with Jeremy Cooper, who's going to be on later in this show. And we talk a ton about how Helium is dealing with that and what's going on. And you can see the depth of experience being executed or kind of placed against that problem. It's pretty impressive. Okay. Gaming is a snooze fest. Right on, Karen Ninja. Good. Back to troubleshooting. All right. So the next one I got is 𝐵𝐶𝐬𝐿, wobbly sangria jellyfish, outdoors roof mount Ethernet on grid. Good job. I don't think you can possibly go wrong from here. Placed optimally on the roof with an 8 dBi antenna, surrounded by other hotspots that are sending beacons and witnessing, not in a valley. It's a synchro bit. The problem category, this is what I love. Cool. So no beacons, no witnesses, unusually low earnings, sudden drop in anything. So no beacons, no witnesses, and it's wobbly sangria jellyfish. We might have looked at this last time. I might be backwards here, but we'll hit this anyway. Miner has stopped sending beacons and witnessing. I've been on GitHub posting my issues. One update helped a little, then it went right back to the issues from before. Jamie or Neil, which of you guys wants to take this one first? Or either of you?
Did they say when it started in their description?
Doesn't know. I got to put some dates on this thing. I'm always expecting that people kind of know what we need in order to troubleshoot. But I'll let you start off. Yeah.
Offhand, like you can kind of see on these charts if you show my screen that there was this period where the earnings really picked up, and that seems to have dropped off. Actually, I can bring up the challenges report to see. My theory with a lot of these is like another hotspot went offline. And I don't have a query that makes that really easy to see. Like we do have this nearby hotspots thing that shows that there are no offline hotspots around you. But I'm like, what if somebody like your earnings are a function of your neighbors. So I always suspect that's actually the root cause of some of these things. It looks like it hasn't earned anything in 5 days, and it hasn't beaconed since the 14th. So something's wrong with it, but I don't know what.
Cool. Neil, you see anything?
From what I can see, it looks offline. So it's just not got a network connection at all. I can't ping it or anything. So
okay. So maybe they just unplugged it. Maybe that was from last week. Cool. We'll keep on blasting. I saw one of you guys asked is there a way to submit these things. Yep. Go to the description on YouTube. At the very top is the link to submit your hotspot for Deliverance. Okay, the next one I've got 𝗏 what a name. Flat magenta chipmunk. Did we do this one last time? I kind of remember it being. Does it sound familiar to you guys or no? Good job, Jamie.
Some of the names sound familiar.
Okay.
I know. Every time it's like there's so many of these. Who knows?
And I think we did 𝗵𝐴 and rare slate falcon. Do you guys remember those in Mallorca?
That sounds familiar.
Yep.
What was the first one? I could just type it in and check.
Sure. Flat magenta chipmunk.
Flat magenta chipmunk. Texas sounds familiar, but there's a lot of hotspots in Texas.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Cool. I'll just skip past. I think I skipped past that one. Although that one, the 𝗵𝐴 and rare slate falcon, actually, I promised that guy we would hit this. So if we didn't hit it last time, I'm going to make sure we knock it out this time. So let's start with 𝗵𝐴. I think the problem was that basically everything stopped working for him. So he said there's been an ongoing drastic earnings decline. Sure. A few other guys are also mentioning this exact date of November 23rd. I'm still using stock antennas and cables, Ethernet and PoE, Bobcats and everything up to date, synced and running. POCV11 should not be the cause here. When was that released? December 13th. What happened on November 23rd for 𝗵𝐴? Jamie, I'm going to I'm gonna have you do that one first. You good with that?
This looks fine to me.
Okay, it's banging away.
Did I pull up the
This
wrong
one looks
one?
fine. No, it looks fine as well to me. I think this must be one of the old ones, but
Okay,
it generally looks okay.
cool.
See,
Yeah,
a lot of hotspots will get issues like that. You know, it's often that when the disk fills and things like that, it'll resync the blockchain, so you'll just get a couple of days of downtime. It's really important to realize that most of the time, the best thing to do is nothing. Just let it catch up, let it come back. But yeah, I think we did that one last time by the looks
Yep.
of it, or it's come back since.
Yep. Nice, Jamie. Nice. Keep up with those. I like the Matrix glasses.
My favorites got screwed up. Yeah, my stream game's off.
Okay. I'm seeing in the live chat. I'm kind of jumping around here. Is how do you reboot? I mean, I hesitate to say just unplug the thing and replug it. There's no better way to do it, right? But it's one of those things where it's like just be careful doing that because that can knock you back quite a bit depending on how fast you plug the power back in. Neil and Jamie, have you guys seen that if you just unplug it for whatever, a minute and then plug it back in, like does that seem to consistently cause big problems or no?
I miraculously have never had it cause a problem. I would expect that eventually it would usually my Raspberry Pis fail, but these ones
Right.
don't seem to.
Yep. And I was talking.
Generally, it's not a good idea to pull the power plug on a Pi, but because it will damage the SD card. But I've never had it happen to me. So
Yeah.
never in all of the years that I've been using Raspberry Pis, it's just never happened. So
Yeah, knock on wood.
And I was talking to a client the other day who said he's got a bunch of off grids, and he was saying he power cycles them every day at midnight.
Wow,
I wanna
really?
say they were all sense caps, and that was one of what he thought was his kind of secrets of success for keeping his off grids up and running. He resets the modem every night, resets the hotspots every night. I thought that was pretty interesting because I've been telling people like, don't reboot unless you have nothing else to do and you've already waited 3 days. But yeah, he was just blasting that thing with power cycles.
yeah, there's a weird thing with the gossip, and I know Syncrobits do it. They reset their peers every night, once a night, to every 24 hours reset the peers, and that's what he's doing with that reboot. He's just making sure that his information's gossiped at least once a day. So it has worked out better for some, but generally those issues are starting to go away now.
Okay. Dig it. Ed Blue in the house. I see you, dog. Welcome. Oh, Jamie, back with the Matrix. Like it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I found the one that I liked. Yeah.
Okay. The next one I got is this guy, 𝗵𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁 and not the antenna, but maybe we'll see. Description is I've got a Bobcat 300 miner with the standard antenna sitting on my desk. It's in front of a sliding glass door looking directly outside. I'm going to switch while I talk to your guys' screen so people can see what you're doing. And I'm going to pull
can you read the hotspot name for me again? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, 𝗙𝐻𝐵𝐵𝐺𝐻𝐿.
𝗙𝐻𝐵𝐵𝐺𝐻𝐿.
Yeah, and I'll get my face off of there. So what you guys are seeing on YouTube should be just the two screens of Jamie and Neil. Okay, so 𝗙𝐻𝐵𝐵𝐺𝐻𝐿, Bobcat 300 miner, standard antenna sitting on my desk in front of a sliding glass door. I live in Florida. You're fucked. So the area around me is flat. I'm in the process of installing a Rockland 5.8 dBi antenna that will be 20 feet in the air with 20 feet of LMR 400. With the lightning arrestor, I have earned a whole 0.359 HNT. That is it. Doesn't say over what time frame. But the problem category is relay. So luckily you've got one of the world authorities for fixing relay on here with BFG Neil. And in fact, let's put a plug for Helium Status. So if you guys have problems with relay, go to heliumstatus.io. That's the single best tool for fixing stuff and actually getting good information in real time. And Neil, I'll let you kind of talk a little bit about that. Shoot.
Sure. So Explorer is just really slow at showing relay state because it expects it's gossiped information over the network. So at the moment it shows relay, but if you actually run it through Helium status, you'll see it's not. So you can see the relay's gone. You can tell that by the IP address. It's not a relay address like this. There is an issue where if the API hasn't got the same address as the observed address, you might not have beacons for a while. But that's just, it's not that the API address is something to worry about. It's just that that's a sign of where the gossip is at of the network. So if that hasn't updated, you might not get beacons. So, but yeah, it's not relayed.
Okay. Cool. Let's bring James.
And the earnings, to be fair, look really good.
Okay.
It also looks great. I agree. This hotspot looks fantastic.
Okay.
As of about Christmas, it was a Christmas miracle. Thought the hotspot started working.
All right, tangy bubblegum 𝗀𝗲. We're gonna stop troubleshooting because you're fine. Okay, so the next one I got is I'm gonna leave your guys' screens up, and I'm also gonna put up if you guys want to know what Jamie's doing and what he's talking about when he's saying like, hey, this there's this rad little device to, for checking all your stuff, and here's where I'm getting reports. That's where he's getting it, is etl.dy.org. Okay.
Yes, where you need to create an account using a gmail.com Google account. And if you use Chrome, you have to enable third-party cookies. And if you mention me about an account and you haven't done those two things yet, I'm going to send you the pin that explains how to do that again, but I'm not going to like it.
Okay. I like it. I can't say who I was talking to last night, but I'm like, can't we just have like some worm bomb go into all of these miners for people who are asking silly questions over and over? But no, you can't do that. That's not the right thing to do. And I'm glad that mature adults surround me. Okay, so next guy is CT Computers, Faithful Yellow Caribou. Faithful Yellow Caribou. Indoors, okay, Wi-Fi and on-grid. Currently Lone Wolf indoors, but will be adding outdoor antenna and additional miner in a nearby hex. Cool. Curious why I have not challenged Beaconer for nearly 2 weeks. Hardware or network issue causing this. Description of the problem is creating regular challenges, but not challenged Beaconer. So Faithful Yellow Caribou. Who wants to take that first, Neil or Jamie?
I've been hogging him, Neil. Please, yeah.
I think this one's fine as well. I wondered if you wanted to answer some questions in chat or something, and I'll try and find out where we were last time, because that one's just started working by the looks of it.
Okay, yeah, totally. I'll look at chat.
Yeah. It also looks like it started working today, yesterday.
Just by us looking at it. There's a lot of power in this trio here.
Yeah. Congrats.
𝑑__G. What should I do with the spare 𝗪𝗏? My other miner arrived and kicked it out of a location. So basically, you should, no matter who it comes from, manufacturer or someone like 𝗪𝗏 that's buying them and reselling them or giving them away or whatever it is you should never have two miners in the same location. So it doesn't matter if it's a Pisces or a rack or whatever, is you want to get them apart. Now, how far apart requires a little bit of an understanding of how the whole density rules system works. But in general, you want and this is very general, this is not accurate all the time, it's just a good thing. You want about 1,000 meters apart or 1 kilometer apart. So that's a pretty good rule of thumb. It's not perfect. It's not always right. But as a start, just to give you an idea of the scale, like you don't want them 10 feet apart. They need to be significantly apart. And it's not even like 300 feet. It's more like 1,000 meters. If there's someone in a local hex, will we both receive less? Yep. His is right on the boundary of the hex. I'm wanting to place a hotspot. Yeah. So this kind of comes up a ton. And it's a really good question. It just means that you probably got to read a little bit more about Helium and understand the purpose and the goal of the network is to provide really good coverage. It's not to make you a millionaire. You can earn income from it, but the purpose is not to make you rich. The purpose is to provide great wireless coverage. And so if you pursue providing great wireless coverage, you end up benefiting more than otherwise. Well, cool. There's a ton of questions here. Assert your 𝗪𝗏 in the middle of the ocean and trash it. Come on, 619. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I'll keep that one to myself. But yeah, I wouldn't. Don't trash it. Just always put your miners somewhere good. And how many miners should you buy? Buy as many miners as you have great locations. Let's see. ET from home. Try and keep it kid friendly, dog. I mean, I think that's funny, but let's not put that on YouTube. Okay. You guys ready for another one for Rapid Tawny Narwhal, or do you want me to keep doing the chat stuff?
I've got up a few, and okay. I think we're way past that. I think we're something like Round Vanilla Dragonfly. Okay. That kind of Mario level, yep. I think.
Yeah, let's do that one then. Round Vanilla Dragonfly. Jamie, you ready for that one?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm just promoting the stream really quick here. Okay. Round Vanilla Dragonfly.
Yep, and I'm just going to keep sharing your screens. I'll switch back to your beautiful faces, but I think it's really cool for people to be able to watch what you guys are paying attention to as we go through this. So, Round Vanilla Dragonfly.
Let us fly to Croatia.
Oh, I like it. It's supposed to be beautiful there. Let's see. Outdoors, roof mount, Ethernet, on grid. Okay, you should be winning no matter what. Everything is asserted correctly. 3 dBi McGill antenna gain, 3 meters or 10 feet of LMR 400 TMR. They've calculated the loss. Dude, you probably know what you're doing, Mario. I don't know why we're hopping. Sudden drop in anything. So, Nick, you already answered in your video.
Oh, yeah. Look at this hotspot, gentlemen.
Is this banging, huh?
This is a banger.
Okay. The problem is that immediately since 𝗵𝐴𝐶V11, getting up to 20 invalids that I didn't have before, and earnings
This
are
is
down.
true.
Okay, clipped by 60%, RSSI too high. Cool. Jamie, talk to me. What are you seeing?
My man. Yeah, all right. So what was our D-Day for 𝗵𝐴𝐶V11? December 13th? Was the other one was like December 23rd, I thought.
Yeah, there's a November 23rd and then a December 13th.
All right, I need like a tab with key dates in Helium history to help
Yeah,
us
who
with
wants
this.
to do that? Who wants to do a little Gristle King assistant and write down some key
Oh
dates?
my God, please help us. And yeah, the rewards are down, but you check this trend line, it looks all right, and we can shorten the period so it looks a little more downish. But that's again, I come over to our network overview dashboard for the average is also downish. Everything is downish, and so it looks pretty good to me. I'm curious. There is this dashboard. I always try to load it. I forget the name. I think it's called Challenge Receipts. It's 𝗕𝗿𝗄's killer app dashboard.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, this one usually takes a while to load, right?
Yeah, it takes a little bit longer. And then you could use Helium Hiker directly, but I spend all my time in ETL and always forget how to.
Cool.
So this is cool because it actually goes through your individual challenge reports, and it'll tell you, like it'll aggregate the reason and the count for specific hotspots, as well as like a list that's just basically a raw record of the challenge receipts. So with the Dragonfly, we were seeing this increase starting on December 13th, and it's pretty significant to your point. It's like 10 to 15 a day, and this tool, it's not as easy to look at it like over time exactly, but we can get the sense that it's evenly distributed over a bunch of these. And looks like, my guess would be that it's just basically the adjustments to the curve have ruled these out somehow. I'm not as good as you guys at like doing RSSI and SNR evaluations in my head, but it also debugs the ranges here. These seem kind of normal, but I guess the SNR is out of whack.
All right, Neil, you're into that stuff. What are you seeing, dog?
I'm just trying to look up some of the beacons, but it witnesses so much it's hard to find the individual beacons to see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the general area is all the same. There's lots of invalids. The SNR is generally good, but
yeah, another thing I could bring up is like we look at the neighbors and see if they're experiencing the same thing. So here's the Dragonfly, and then I'll bring up the dashboards for these ones are really low. I'll bring up one of those, and then these two bigger ones. But this brings up the same dashboard. This one hasn't seen anything. This one's not doing well. This one saw procs, not really the same thing. No, these all. And then this other one. Yeah, it appears to just be this one. I actually wonder if this one needs to have like its location or antenna type updated, perhaps. Like maybe it wasn't, or maybe it was set to something weird before, and that didn't make a difference before, but a 𝗵𝐴𝐶V11, is supposed to factor it in.
And I'm seeing 𝗵𝗿𝗶𝘀 is saying the same thing, like check antennas, and it may be, it could be witnesses haven't updated their antenna info as well. So, I mean, this brings up a point that we're all kind of reliant on each other in this big giant game. And even if you do everything right, if everyone else is not doing something right, you can get hosed on it. So that's the deal. All right, there's my bride, Gristle King. Can you guys check agreeable mango goose via Dear Bad? Indoor curling hotspot with an antenna of 6 dBi outside on a 29 meters on the balcony. So agreeable mango goose.
We're going to Belgium.
All right, lovely Belgium. Do they have waffles there? That's what I like. I like my food.
Antwerpen. Yeah, they got killer waffles.
Cool. All right, what are you guys seeing?
The first thing was it was relayed recently. and it's just come out of it. So again, it might not beacon for a while until that gossip spreads.
Okay. Dig
I
it.
see some activity. It's nothing, it's not a lot, but it's above network average, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
It's up. It's up. It's just taken a while to come back, and obviously the gossip thing's saying it's offline. But one big thing I just noticed then is some of the latency drops. So one thing about latency is that you want it to be reasonable every time. So if you see big jumps like this, it could indicate that there might be a bad connection. That's why it's going offline.
Okay. Cool. Let's see. Ed, shout out for Hotspotty's ResX chat on their Discord server. Yeah, nice, Jamie. Hotspotty's got a pretty cool thing where you can spawn a chat for a specific area. And that's a pretty cool thing to try and do for the neighborhood. Now, you are relying on other people being on Hotspotty and seeing that there's a chat there. And so it's not kind of bomb-proof, and it's not as useful as Helium used to be before it got just too big to have every city have its own chat on Discord. Ed, no mention of beer, dog. No, I'm allergic to alcohol. Every time I drink, I break out in handcuffs. Joke never gets old. What do you guys want to do next? I got Rapid Tarny Narwhal. What are you thinking, Neil? Or did I put you on the spot there?
Sure, let's do it. I was just looking at the next one. Whatever we want to do, but what was that one?
Rapid Tawny Narwhal. So outdoors roof mount Ethernet on grid. Man, you guys are doing great. If you're getting it outdoors roof mounted Ethernet on grid, like there shouldn't be anything wrong. I can see why you probably write in. I submitted one 10 to 15 minutes ago. I'd like to retract it for privacy reasons. Okay. I don't know if it's not there or not.
I'm always concerned about that, by the way. I don't know how much we caveat that it's like, we're not saying anybody's name or anything, but it is on a stream. Yep.
And I put your first name on there. Like it's on the stream that this is public. It's kind of on you to make sure that you're not giving away PII, or if you don't want us to publicly troubleshoot it, don't submit for there. This isn't like a private service.
Unfortunately,
paying for this is free shit.
Although, okay, so we can discuss the tokenomics for that later.
Yeah. What are you guys seeing on RTN?
It's failing ping. It's failing ping, so the connection's not stable, or it's changed IP addresses.
And that is because no, it's on Ethernet. Maybe changed IP addresses. All right.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking?
Yeah. So the problem is with Helium status is sometimes it can't look up your connection. It just doesn't know how to dial you. So it goes on what the information was last said. So the last thing that I know of how to dial this hotspot is from the API. So I'm trying that address, but that doesn't work. So the best way for someone to test it is to use this connection tester. So hit the burger menu and force connect. It will list your local IP address of whatever internet connection you're on. So you need to be on the same connection as the hotspot. And then you could do a port tester. So just like a live connection tester. And if that works and that's successful, you can come through to this page and it'll update and say it's connected and the addresses update. But right now it looks offline to me.
Dig it. And is there a specific set of steps you'd use to fix that, or is just kind of power cycle and make sure it's connected, make sure you're not, your port forwarded, all that stuff, the usual?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So before I do anything, I generally say to do a connection test. So you can run this connection test and see if it works. If that doesn't work, then obviously follow the great workflow you've got on your website, which
from
shows
Jason.
you every step to fixing relay.
Yep. Yeah. I think if you just Google Gristle King fixing relay, it'll take you to that. And to be super clear, I didn't write that workflow. I just made it look pretty. That's all from Jason on Discord. He wrote this really bitchin' workflow that should fix everything. I'm going to jump over to the chat. So ET from home, I see you kind of keep needling me with this shit. You certainly know how to get my goat there. So you're saying while everyone is waiting for Bobcats, Helium signs a deal with Panther X in September. And by December, we see thousands of Panther X deployed only in China. All right, dude. Let's set you straight there, is that Helium doesn't sign deals with manufacturers. Manufacturers apply, and there is a separate entity, the Manufacturing Oversight Committee, that looks at the manufacturer's application and says, okay, it looks like these guys can produce this thing. That's all they certify, right? Helium is very, this like the ecosystem Helium, not the corporation, is very different than anything you've seen before. This is not Apple, where they're kind of controlling everything. The entire idea here is to make a fully kind of decentralized system, not just decentralized radio stuff, but decentralized power over everything. So if there's only one entity that is able to sign off on, let me put me on the video here. If there's only one entity that is able to sign off, then that entity has power. And so the way we're trying to do it, and you are welcome to submit a HIP to improve the whole ecosystem, is to say, okay, the entity that signs off has very limited power. All they can do is shut off the manufacturer's ability to onboard new hotspots. And right now, to be super straight on it, there's no real way to stop a manufacturer from gaming. There's no real way to stop a really bad actor. So what we try and do is look and see, okay, do these people have a history? Have they produced technology before? Could we track them down if we needed to? And not in the sense of physically tracking them down, but just make sure that it's a person. It's not like an anonymous, like full rug action. Nice, Jamie. Yeah, so I think you've got this misunderstanding, and I'd strongly encourage you to go watch the interview with Jeremy Cooper, who's the head of the MOC YouTube I've done on this whole thing. But yeah, it's not like I mean, think about it this way, dude. How silly would it be for a company that's grown as fast and as big as Helium to be like, oh yeah, let's purposefully sign an agreement with cheating gamers? Like, that's just, I don't know, that goes against reason. Obviously gets me fired up. Okay, let's do something else like hotspot troubleshooting. What do you guys want to see next? Do you want to do this? What are you thinking, Neil?
Do you want to do some from the chat? I mean, They must be facing issues right now.
Jamie, spicy eggplant gazelle, please. Tower installed with
𝗙𝐻. Eggshell. Can you say it? What was that?
Spicy eggplant gazelle.
𝐶𝐬𝐧𝐤𝐬.
Yeah. Tower installed with PPL antenna. I don't know what PPL is. No issues beaconing. Unable to connect to Challenger to report witnessing beacons.
There's a new antenna maker called the People's Antenna. Is that what maybe he was referring to?
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yep, nice, dude.
Interesting.
I think I've got that cowboy hat in our office, Jamie. I might have to wear it next time. It's got like the little flashing lights on top of it.
The real one.
Yeah.
Spicy eggplant cobra, you said?
No, spicy eggplant gazelle. Similar animals, gazelles and cobras.
There we go. Yeah. All right, let us fly to Florida. Slowly.
𝗷𝗚𝐬𝐳.
All right.
And the issues described as...
no issues beaconing, unable to connect to Challenger to report witnessing beacons.
Yeah. So I think what they're referring to is they're seeing in the minor logs there's often failed to die off Challenger errors. It's happening less, and there was a few updates in the last firmware to make it better, but it does happen quite often. You know, there's a good chunk, and I think it's around 40% at the moment of POC that just fails without us seeing it at all. So you wouldn't see it as invalid. It just, in the logs, all it says it failed to dial the Challenger, and it tries to do it 20 times. So it tries to redial the Challenger 20 times. So it tries to get through as much as it can, but there's been some bugs there. And I think that's probably what they're referencing.
Okay. And when you're saying POC, that's proof of coverage. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I know we know all this stuff, but it's helpful. It's like if you could just come in like, what do you mean POC? Like chickenpox? What are you seeing for it, Jamie? Spicy eggplant gazelle.
It seems, it's definitely markedly down from some averages a little bit, but not anything too unusual, to be honest. Like this downward line is the standard downward line, basically. And it does look like it was offline for a couple of days, so I defer to Dr. Neil.
Okay. Dr. Neil, I like that. Yeah. I gotta recognize Neil's setup. It's getting way better. It's looking super sharp. I can hear you really well. I'm liking how you're pushing it. And Neil, you're gonna start doing YouTube lives or AMAs or stuff like this as well, right?
Yeah, I'm game for it, and I'm game to have that security conversation if people want to have it. So I don't mind talking about it. I've got no affiliation, so I don't
What's
have to
the
be
security
careful about
conversation?
what I say. Well, in relation to what's going on the network, how big is this gaming issue?
Yep.
What's going to be done about it? Things like that. I'm more than happy to talk about it. So, yeah, if people want to have it, I'll have it with them.
Yeah, totally. Let's. I think we should. Yeah, let's do that. And if I can push that for you, or however we do that, that's rad. But that's would be a rad conversation to have. Let's stick with here. Let's do the troubleshooting stuff. Let's see. Can you look to Switzerland, please? Restless coal sawfish. Restless coal, sawfish. And like Caraman, what's the problem? Like drop some ideas in the notes so we kind of know what we're looking for.
It's just not earning anything.
Okay. Ooh, maybe we can rescue this one.
Is this the right?
I don't know. I'll keep looking for like Caraman to see if he comes back. Yeah, Restless Coal Sawfish. I saw that. Dang, I got behind on the chat. Gabriel M. Why they look. Wouldn't it be a good idea to bind manners deployed in China? No, man. Come on, dude. China gets a fair shot like everyone else. Every country gets a fair shot. You don't get punished just because you live in a country. That's not cool, right? That's like saying one person. I think Jeremy had this analogy or metaphor last time. Well, one person in New York has a bad plumber, and so we're going to turn off water to the entire city, right? Or 6 people in New York City have bad plumbers or plumbers that cheat, so we're going to turn off water to the city. No, it's not a good idea at all.
I mean, it's not fine, but it otherwise looks like it's fine.
Other than not working, it's great.
Yeah.
It's the Bobcat.
Though
the best thing I'd advise with the Bobcat is that if I look at Explorer right now, it says syncing. So, load the IP address up, the local IP address up in your browser. Just look at the miner report and just see how far behind it is. As it's a Bobcat, you could just run fast sync and it should sync right back up and come to life. But right now, it looks like it's syncing at least.
Okay. Dig it. I'm seeing a couple of will using directional antennas as opposed to omnidirectional antennas increase earnings. 𝗪𝐶 with lots of A's and X's. I'm going to leave that one a little bit for Germ because I know he's supposed to come on later on because I know he loves antenna stuff. But in case he doesn't get to it, it depends on your situation is the answer. ET from home still coming at me. Keep coming, dog. Helium does get paid when they sell the right to produce units. I don't think so. I think the manufacturers, have to pay, and I should know this because I'm on the committee, a fee to submit their hotspots. I don't think Helium earns anything from selling the right to produce. I don't think that's correct.
As far as I know, that is correct, and the fee is to cover the security audit required to audit your security.
Okay. All right.
So, a lot of people get hung up on the location of certainly onboarding as well, thinking Helium get that, but they often don't realise that's burnt forever.
Right.
Goes to all of us.
It doesn't go to anyone. Yeah, it goes to all of us.
Deflation benefits us all.
Yeah. Okay. And before the kind of chat devolves into my aggression leaking out and everyone like, hey, I think Helium is super awesome. I think we're all doing a good job. And just kind of keep in mind as you guys are going through this, that this is a giant chaotic project, that grew way faster than I think anyone really expected. And we're all trying to keep a handle on this thing and really focus on the excellent parts of it and knowing that there's going to be, small problems as we go along. Let's see. So can I make and sell them? You can apply via HIP19. You should, ET from home, you should definitely read either the Helium site or go through the Helium Discord, or you're welcome to check out gristleking.com. But I think your problem is you're probably pretty smart, but you're at this point, I don't mean this with any meanness, but you're probably just ignorant and you just need to read a little bit more and then you'll be on board and get it. But you're asking questions where it's fairly obvious you haven't done the background research. Okay, Falcon Punch. Hey guys, can you take a look at lone coral raccoon? Big drops anytime we get rain, though I thought rain was supposedly good for RF. I'll start with no. Rain is not good for RF, right? Rain is water, and water will block RF. You can't. It's really difficult to transmit a radio signal from air into water. So if you're trying to transmit a radio signal into like a sub under the ocean, super impossible. Jamie, that's ridiculous. I love it though. So yeah, when you see rain, you should expect that you're going to see drops in the ability for RF to punch through all those millions of pounds of water falling through the sky. Neil, what are you seeing on lone coral raccoon? Anything big for either of you guys?
Just running through it, I think it's probably just been. It looks to be earning fairly well now over the last few days. To me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a sparse area. You can see this like nearby hotspots result is really only 2 within the. I think it's like a 5 kilometer threshold too, so that's pretty far for like a standard hotspot setup. So it's basic like it's just a kind of. What's the opposite of dense? Sparse area.
Yeah. So if this is like, if I'm stuck with this location for lone coral raccoon and it's mine, and especially if this is the only hotspot I have, I would go batshit crazy on getting this thing as high as possible. I wouldn't spend any amount of money, and only spend the money that you're willing to lose or you can afford to. But this would not be a hotspot area where I'd be like, okay, this is cool in my window or even my attic. This would be something where I'd get the antenna as high as reasonably, legally, etc. possible. Nice, Jamie.
Some of these are so bad.
Oh, no, I like it. That's funny.
I think this will be me for a while.
Yeah. Okay. ET from home. So why did Panther X get approved? Cool. You got to do the reading. I'm stopping answering that. I know you're really curious about this, but you got to do the reading. Let's see. Joyful Parchment Sloth. No activity. 3 dBi in a loft. That's from 𝗵𝗺𝗃. Joyful Parchment Sloth.
I can't spell today.
We fly to England.
Well, all right.
So check all the obvious. It's connected. It pings. But then I always check Explorer for activity.
Yep. And if you guys are going to drop stuff in the chat, if you guys can give us very specific problems that you think they're having, if those problems are unusually low earnings, we're probably just going to skip by them just because that's, yeah.
Right. This one appears to be an unusually low earnings, which is strange because it does have many hotspots nearby. Maybe bad placement.
Okay. And I think he said it was a 3 dBi in a loft. So let's talk a little bit about how kind of RF works, is that in order to punch out of the walls of the loft, and especially if it's super well built, if you're in an area kind of unlike California where we don't build with huge insulation in Southern California because we don't really need it. But if you're in England where it gets colder, it gets hotter, or in these places where houses are kind of more thickly built, is that putting your antenna inside can be a significant disadvantage. And there's a couple ways around that. A, that just get the antenna outside. B, you could get a higher gain antenna. C, you can start to fiddle with entering your gain a little bit lower than it is, so you give it some more energy to punch out of the walls. But if you do that, you run the risk of your RSSI not reporting correctly because it's not being reported correctly. So it gets kind of geeky fast, but the best answer is probably to get this thing outside, get your antenna outside and up high, and it'll be a little bit better. Neil, anything to add to that?
Oh, go ahead.
No. Go on, Jamie, if you want to say something.
Yeah, sure. I was just gonna. I brought up with this DYETL report. There's this amazing nearby hotspots thing, and then over here is dashboard link, which links to the same dashboard for another hotspot. So what I very often do is go look at like what does good look like for this area, since that's kind of what you're comparing yourself to. And even these other two, this one's witnessing 40 plus witnesses a day, Mr. Bison here, and that's the one with this very full earnings mini bar chart. So some people have set up their hotspots in this area to earn much more, and so to your point, I think it's maybe time to put it up on the roof.
Okay. Dig it. We got 12 minutes left. What are you thinking, Neil? You got something to...
Yeah, sorry, my mic was muted.
Yep.
If I look at how many hotspots that's witnessing this hotspot is 48, but it's only hearing 4 other hotspots, so it's only being heard. It's only hearing 4 other hotspots beacons, so the attic's obviously stopping the connection. Definitely.
Okay. So basically, get the thing outside.
Yeah, it has enough power to get out, but it doesn't have enough to receive, and that's based on how well they're placed. Those other hotspots and. Yeah, it's a one-way street at the moment.
Do you think it's possible there's something in the attic that's actually interfering with it?
Maybe. Yeah.
Like I'm reminded, like I've seen people like stick a magnetic mount on a radiator kind of stuff, but I don't know what you would do in an attic.
I mean, to be fair to the guy, I do run a lot of hotspots from the attics, and they do work well. But I know they're only very thin tile and wood. So they'll do 20 miles, but it happens I'm on peaks of hills and things. So generally, I'm the highest thing around, so it's been fine.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I usually tell people to go attic rather than lower floor outside.
Yep. Elevation is king. Let's see. You guys want to do a couple more from the Deliverance entries side? Yeah. Neil, I'm seeing. You want to do, what is it? Let's see. Active Bone Frog.
Active Bone Frog.
All right. Indoors and outdoors, roof mount Wi-Fi on grid. A1, get it off Wi-Fi, get it on Ethernet. Problem is that connection, sudden drop in anything. 9th of December, attic installed Bobcat 300 4 dBi. Awaiting installation of outside, just testing. 14 December, outside roof chimney mount. Oh, this might be a cool thing to see how going from inside to outside changes things, Jamie, as we look at this stuff. And then almost flatlined rewards when he went outside. He's asking if we suspect antenna or cable damage. And then 20th December, 6 days later, moved back indoors to attic with stock antenna and seeing low to normal rewards. Witnesses took a while to find, low witnesses but expected. And then the thing is, I want to move back outside on the chimney. Can you think of anything I'm not currently looking at to help me determine if my antenna or cable is damaged without disconnecting either of them from the roof? I have the RPSMA male side of the LMR 600 cable exposed to me in the attic, so can test with VNR from there, but I'm unsure what I'm looking at. Okay, go.
Yeah, the best way to work out if your antenna's working is get a mapper, get a LoRa sensor, and try and use it near the antenna. You'll see the RSSI figures that your hotspot was able to deliver to hear the sensor from. So you would know that the whole cable is working and the antenna from just a little mapper. The other thing you can do is nano VNA on the antenna cable and nano VNA on the antenna to test them to work. But a mapper's generally the quicker way.
Cool. Jamie, what do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of equivalent. This first test here, like with these higher witness numbers, like you can see it replicated over here, that it's dropped from 23-ish, 20-ish to more like 15-ish maybe. And so I think it's kind of equivalent. Their question was like, should I do spot A or spot B, right? Approximately.
Yeah, I think he was saying he wants to move it back outside, but he's trying to figure out when he moved it outside, the earnings tanked, and he left it out there for 6 days, which seems reasonable. And he says it almost flatlined rewards.
I see that. Okay, yeah. So keep it where it is. Yeah, whatever that setup was, something was broken for sure, because it just went to nothing. Like it looks like it's not working at all.
Right. Okay. So it's probably like a cable issue.
Yeah, it totally failed. Yeah, it sounds like cable connector. Cable connector. Definitely is a problem with the cable connectors or the antenna.
Yep. Can you think of anything I'm not currently looking at to help me determine if my antenna or cable is damaged without not without disconnecting them? I mean, you've got to use tools to assess a problem. You can't just kind of look at the thing and hope.
Yeah, you could use a VNA. I mean, it's not easy. Have you made a video about like how to use a VNA yet, by the way?
I haven't. No, that's a good.
You
good
should
one to do. Yeah.
Put that on the old list, because it's way harder than I expected. Let's say
you would think. Yeah. Okay, we're all on board with this bad cable thing. Gabriel M is saying, Jamie, what's that extension plugin? That is DY.
Snap camera. Oh,
well,
extension plugin.
I don't know what he's actually asking. I was thinking he's talking about a DY, but maybe it's your fancy Viking helmet.
If it's my Viking helmet, it is snap camera. If it is the graphs, it is DYETL.
Okay, cool. Let's see. I got next up. I've got, what is it? A Reef Sunny Watermelon Shetland. I didn't know a Shetland was an animal. Wasn't a Shetland pony? Maybe not. Sunny Watermelon Shetland. It's indoors. Was working fine until antenna was at 3 meter and blocked from one side by the wall. Moved it to the roof and no activity since then. Okay, interesting. It's a RAC V2. Let's see what we got here.
Flying to California.
Welcome
in America.
To the promised land. Yeah, come on.
Racks have been having a really fun issue the last couple of days.
Oh yeah, what's going on?
So some of the cards are just not working well. For whatever reason, they're coming up as read-only quite often.
Oops.
A reboot sometimes fixes it, and that's always the first thing to check that it's synced. the disk status is okay on a Bluetooth report. And if it says read only, try a reboot. And then the next best thing to do is when you're looking at that diagnostics report, click send report. And in that email that comes from that, don't send it to Helium, but just read it and it will list blockchain height. So check that blockchain height's moving and then wait 20 minutes and come back and check it again. Check it's increasing. Now, if you're in a situation and there's a very specific, let me see if I can find the mounted guide. But there's some very specific reasons they put out. One is that the disk shows disk error. Two, that it won't boot up and you just can't Bluetooth to it. 3, that you see a solid green or flashing green status LED. Or 4, that it's a very old block height or the firmware version doesn't update. And if you have any one of those reasons, they recommend to replace the SD card at the moment.
Yow.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that covers the next one, which is calm licorice reindeer. But yeah, basically some small fixes to make for racks. Zach is asking in the chat, does it matter if you use Wi-Fi or Ethernet? Neil and I covered that in the convo we had on YouTube. But yeah, it matters. No matter, I think, Neil, what'd you say? Like, no matter how magical your Wi-Fi skills are, there's nothing like being connected by Ethernet.
I've built full BGP networks providing, gigabits of bandwidth, and I still can't get my Wi-Fi perfect. Says everything, It's just, you just can't trust it. So always wire in if you can.
Yeah.
And you've got to remember, these hotspots have little traces on the board of what the Wi-Fi antenna is. So if you're forced to use Wi-Fi, you'd be better off getting a Wi-Fi extender and Ethernet plugging it in so you have decent antennas for it. But generally try and stay away from Wi-Fi.
Okay. Oh, ET from home. Looks like you submitted late smoke urchin. Here we are. Indoors Wi-Fi on grid is the vital info on late smoke urchin. Description of the problem, I wrote it above, and your form does not support cutting and pasting in the Brave browser. All right, well, it's going to be hard to help you if I don't know what your problem is, but here we are. Minted black rack black spot with 2.3 dBi in the attic, relatively flat terrain with some houses and wooded areas. I don't understand why when I placed the miner in the attic versus a second story window, I more than doubled my witnesses, but saw a significant reduction in beacons that I have witnessed. Essentially, more people now see my beacons, but I am able to see less beacons, and therefore my earnings are down 50% over the week. Also, what gain would you recommend for an outdoor antenna mounted 8 meters or so in my location? I was looking at blah, blah, blah. Okay, what are you guys seeing for late smoke urchin? Or what? Yeah.
This actually looks, I mean, the beacon witnessing is up in the aggregate since it sort of got started, and it's been pretty consistent every day. So it seems to be kind of like a normally functioning hotspot. The beacon failures are always like, there's always a little bit of randomness to it too. Like these handful failing is pretty low.
Okay.
So I would say it's okay. Sit tight.
You should show people the network overview on the ETL, Jamie, because it's quite different today than what it has been for block production. So we're actually coming back to what we should be releasing a day on the Helium network. So overall, the amount of rewards that have been going out has been better. So that's literally yesterday that started when the update went out.
Oh yeah, that's right. Wow.
Yeah.
This
so
is a
it's
significant jump.
better.
Yeah, so it's more than 15%, maybe.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Neil, do you know offhand, like if that is being smoothed out over time, or is this do you think this would be a one-day blip, or would this be like all week you'll see elevated earnings?
I can't remember how long the time period is, but the blockchain tries to catch up for, is it like a certain amount of blocks?
Yeah, I forget what it was. I thought it
the-
was like a 30-day window or something like that, or like a 7-day window, but I couldn't really remember how long it is.
I think it's like a week or more, but yeah, it's definitely speeding up to try and catch up with production, so to catch up with targets. So we're running at 50-second block time at the moment, and when block times are faster, that means more blocks, and that's more epochs in a day, so rewards go up with that. So we're seeing where we've had a few bad days, it trying to catch up now, which is good.
Yep. Dig it. Let's see. We got, I think we can kind of do this one more and then boogie on out. From the Marcus, Fun Gingham Condor. Fun Gingham Condor. Outdoors roof mount Wi-Fi off-grid. Okay, so he says that off-grid deployment, top of a commercial building, outdoor enclosure. Skyus 160 router. It's a dynamic IP because when it was on a static, it wasn't performing correctly due to the off-grid troubles everyone was facing. I do know what you're talking about. HN10, outdoor HN10, a 15-foot VLMR 400 UF for ultra-flexible lightning arrestor, 33-meter height. No beacons, no witnesses, unusually low earnings.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Walk me
Look
through
at
what you
that.
guys are seeing.
Well, it definitely really dropped off on December 31st.
Yep.
But it had a weird recovery day as well.
Yep.
So,
Okay. Neil, anything you're seeing?
Yeah, by the looks of it, it looks offline, so it doesn't look connected.
Okay.
maybe it's like waffling on and off, and that's why the earnings are sort of random, and then it's one day recovered or something like that.
Yeah, I'd say it's the relays cause an issue. The relay link's dying quite quickly, so
Okay.
it's not only got a different address, it's neither of them work. So
There you
I
go.
try and get it off
Bad,
relay.
bad relay. I guess that's why some people reboot it every day.
Yeah. I'll finish up with the off-grid stuff. Is that off-grids used to be kind of tricky to set up, but fairly reliable. And then in the last, I don't know, month or two, they got to be much less reliable in earning really well. And that's because, and this is in very general terms, an off-grid looks or can look kind of like a gaming deployment. And so as Helium is actively pursuing and aggressively pursuing anti-gaming stuff and keeping the gaming earnings down, some of us who have deployed off-grids, including myself, have been caught up in that net that's probably a little bit too fine. So if you're thinking about doing an off-grid and you're super excited about some badass mountaintop, just know that at least until light hotspots come online, which is end of Q1 this year, so end of, was it March, maybe April, or by April, off-grid hotspots are going to be like a tough row to hoe. Yeah. What are you seeing, Jamie? What are you guys laughing at? What am I missing?
Just I've never heard that expression before.
Okay. A tough row to hoe?
Same.
Okay, cool.
Same.
So that's the deal. Let's see. The Marcus, we got another one on grid. Can't figure out why it's got such low earnings. It's got 55 witnesses near and far. So this one is named, we'll finish with this one because I know we're over time. Sneaky Top, TAUPE, Taupe, I don't know, Cougar. Sneaky Taupe Cougar. 55 witnesses near and far. It says it's relayed, but when you check portchecker.co, it says the port is open. Use Helium status for that, the Marcus. And it doesn't seem to be witnessing many beacons. We for sure have port 44158 pointed at the hotspot. What do you guys
Well, we will confirm that, won't we?
see? Just stand by.
What was that name again? One more time?
Sneaky Top. I don't know how to say this.
Taupe?
T-A-U-
I want to
Taupe,
say it's
thank you.
taupe, maybe?
Sneaky Taupe Cougar. TAUPE.
We're going to define taupe here real quick. It is a gray with a tinge of brown.
All right. It's my favorite color now.
Congratulations. You had to rename the YouTube show.
Yeah. The taupe trope.
So it's recently come out of relay by the looks of it. So
Oh,
again,
yeah.
Mm.
This is a very interesting little... It's still in relay according to DYETL, so that's pretty recent probably. Let's see where block we're at. If it's out of relay now and this data is accurate, that means it literally came out of relay like right now.
Yeah, it hasn't been long by the looks of it.
Yeah, I blame relay. This is funky. I hate seeing charts like this where it's like from November 26th to December 4th, everything was honky dory.
Yep.
And then the rest of it's just like a deep dark abyss.
Yeah. What do you think happened, or what would you be looking to fix on this thing?
Relay.
And that's it.
I think they've just fixed it. Yeah. The problem is it dies so often, and if that hotspot that's doing the relay link goes off for a couple of seconds, you'll pick up a new relay link, and then you could wait a day or so for gossip. So, and in that time it takes to gossip, you could pick up another link. So it's
Totally.
like a forever. But sometimes it'll just work fine, and you'll be like, oh, okay, this is my best standing hotspot. So it's just luck of the draw.
Dig it.
Just say no to relay.
Just do your level best to stay off relay. Okay, I think that should wrap it up. I'm kind of pressed for time. I know you guys are too. I'm sorry Germ didn't show up, but I know he's busy crushing people who are gaming, so and running the MOC, so no big deal. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We will see you. I don't know. We'll probably do this again weekly. Do this like next week. Yeah. Any kind of closing thoughts on your end, Jamie or Neil?
Don't game.
Not even once.
Not even once.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And
congrats on the win. Happy 2022. Happy New Year.
Congrats on the win.
Stay safe out there.
It's going to be a rocking year. All right, guys. Thanks for showing up. I will see you guys all next week. Lates.
Audio.